So what does it really mean to live an intentional life? I believe to live an intentional life means that you live your life purposeful in word and also in action. Hey there, beautiful. Welcome back to my channel. Tamia Dawkins here. If you've never seen my face before, I talk about all things connected to living the intentional lady life so that you can build a life and a business that I know that you absolutely love and absolutely deserve. And so in today's training video, I'm going to teach you how you can go ahead and live a more intentional life. So there's an amazing quote that I came across that talks about intentionality, and it says that it's important for us to make sure that we make intentional choices for our lives on a day-to-day basis before other people's choices begin to make us. Now, I don't know about you, but this is such a powerful statement because a lot of people sometimes find they end up in situations within their lives that they are most likely unhappy with because of the fact that they've allowed for other people to unconsciously make decisions for their lives or make choices for their lives. And so I just want to really encourage you to stand up in the power that you have as a woman to make the choices that you need to make for your life. Now, obviously, when doing this, there has to be a level of wisdom. You don't want to operate in a level of pride, but you definitely want to be sure about who you are in terms of the choices that you make for your life. Now, if you're in a situation where someone is taking advantage of you or hurting you, then you need to make the choice to absolutely stand up and consistently make choices that will be able to help you to connect to the purpose that is really calling you within your life. So there are a few things that you can begin to do consistently and habitually in terms of in a manner of cultivating new habits within your life that will really help you to finally be able to live a more intentional life. So the first thing that can really help you to be able to do that is finding clarity about the different things that you really should be doing within your life. I think some of us just set out in life and really become guilty at making choices on a day-to-day basis that really don't connect to the purpose in our life. Now, even with the state that the world is going through in terms of this epic pandemic, I think that a lot of us are standing up and realizing that we've stepped away from the priorities within our life. And if we can refocus on the things that matter most and really get clarity about the things that we really should be focusing on that directly connect to our purpose, then we'll begin to get really fulfilled in realizing that we're following that path of our own curated intentionality. Another part of clarity that's connected to intentionality is getting clear on your purpose. One thing that I oftentimes say is that when you talk about intentionality, you must connect it with purpose. So purpose is simply the reason for which something is created or it exists. Doesn't that give you so much clarity about the fact that you personally exist to be able to fulfill purposes within your life? And you can do that through intentional living. One thing that's so powerful about being intentional, about living out your purpose, is that once you gain that clarity, you'll find yourself on this consistent track of trying to fulfill the things within your life that you really know that you should be doing. And when you get to that place and you really begin to tap into that power of intentionality, of realizing that I was created for a purpose, and now I have clarity on exactly what those purposes are within my life, then there's something that is so absolutely amazingly fulfilling about this. Now, I find that sometimes women in particular really do struggle with trying to figure out what their purpose is. And then that's when they begin to compare themselves or feel like they're not worthy or they're not doing enough in their lives. But one thing that I realize is that some women begin to tap into purpose once they assume the role of being a mother. Because when you're talking about motherhood, you're talking about automatically getting into this place where your purpose of being a mother begins to automatically begin to play itself out. And so, for instance, you don't have to tell your mind to get up and feed your brand new baby. That's something that you automatically know that you need to do. And I'll go as far as saying it's something that your body automatically knows that it needs to do. I know when I was nursing all three of my sons, especially right after I had them, literally, I would know, my body would feel the need to have to feed my babies. So I believe when you begin to really tap into the clarity of what it is that you've been purposed to do as a lady, an amazing lady in the earth, then you'll begin to be able to flow in that purpose like never ever before. Another thing that you really want to do to be able to really tap into how you can live a real and amazing intentional life is to really set up the intentions that you want to fulfill in your life. Most oftentimes we talk about how we have great intentions, but it's all about being intentional about your intentions. How can I intentionally set out to be intentional about the things that I want to be able to do within my life? So when you're talking about having intentions, you're just simply talking about putting together a plan that will help you to be able to kind of tick off whatever goals that you have set out. Now, do you see the consistent flow when it comes to living an intentional lady life? It's all about setting up strategies, systems, plans, so that you can slowly but surely make the progress that you want to make, to not only say, but to be able to show that you are living an intentional life. Now, the next thing that you really want to focus on when you are trying to live that intentional life is really making sure that you are clear on whatever it is that your priorities are. Now, I touched a little bit on this with regards to the current world situation that connects to the pandemic and how priorities have really become a thing nowadays. So we see people prioritizing in terms of their health, prioritizing in terms of their family, prioritizing in terms of trying to figure out what they were called and created to do by God on the earth. Because when you get into a space as a human being, or in a place where we are now, where only priorities matter, then you have no choice but to really sit down and get refocused on what your purpose is. And I think as humanity that seems just to love sensational living, we've really gotten away from that. So as you try to live this intentional life, not in a way of perfection, but in a way of purpose, you want to make sure that you are putting your priorities first within your life, so that you can absolutely stay on that path of intentional living. Now, this might look like you telling the people that you used to tell yes, no, so that you can focus on different things that you really need to be doing. This might also look like maybe you taking inventory of certain things in your life that might be time suckers, or just making sure that the things that you really are putting in the course of your day are absolutely causing you to be fulfilled. Now, I'm a believer that in this time more than ever, people are super narcissistic, which means that they simply just completely focus on themselves. But I think when you prioritize to, yes, take care of yourself, but to realize how you can serve people in general, and this can be something that's super fulfilling as well in terms of your priorities. So just take some time to just jot down what your priorities are on a day-to-day basis, and you'll find that there may be some things that you're doing that you really shouldn't be focused on. Especially not in a season like this where the world is literally going through so much. You definitely want to set out to be more intentional at putting your priorities in order. The next thing that you really want to focus on when it comes to living that intentional life, living that more intentional life, is really having your values and your beliefs known to yourself and to those that exist around you. And so a great example of really practicing your belief is, let's say you say that you believe in God. Well, if I believe in God, then I ought to be praying to God. I ought to have a communication relationship with God because I believe that He exists. What that does is it causes you to operate and exercise your faith in God. And this means that you have a strong belief system when it comes to knowing who God is, but not just knowing who He is, but engaging with Him as God. Now, when we talk about values, You can connect it to having core values in your life. Like, are you a loyal person? Are you committed? Are you the type of person that follows through? Are you the type of person that is honest and reliable and efficient? Do you have a value system? Now, by getting your beliefs and your values intact and making sure that you stay focused on the things that you say make up who you are as a person, then you can absolutely live an intentional life. I think it's important for us to be absolutely sure about our values and our belief systems first within and of ourselves. And by us doing that, we begin to practice them from a mental perspective and obviously physically as well. But people will begin to recognize what your value system is. You never want to get to this place where people don't honor whatever your values and your beliefs are on the basis of what it is that you put out or what it is that you've shown other people. You want to be known as an amazing person that has great beliefs, like your beliefs in God, and people can see that through your lifestyle, or being able to be known as a person that has high value system, or they have core values like being reliable and also loyal. Belief and values really make up the fullness of our character as human beings. And when it comes to integrity, we definitely want to make sure that we have these things together and we are practicing on a consistent basis different ways that we can be healthy when it comes to our belief systems and also our values. Now, this next thing is really a mindset shift. And it has to do with you really getting solid on realizing whether you're going to be a part of the culture or not so much a part of the culture. Now, culture has the ability to be able to affect all different perspectives of our lives as human beings. And sometimes you'll find that whatever beliefs or value systems that you really have in place don't really connect with the culture that might be surrounding you. And so, for instance, the culture might say, hey, let's go out, eat McDonald's, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As long as they're serving it, I'm eating it. But you as a human being may realize that I, for health reasons, cannot consistently eat McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so what happens is that you get in this mindset where you begin to shift your mind first away from what the cultural norms that are surrounding you may be. And that's okay. You just have to own the place that you are, because you internally understand what it is that your purpose is and what's required of you in terms of living that intentional life. And so there's no way that if you consistently eat that McDonald's or other fast foods or just things that are not healthy for your body, that you'll be able to live out the true lifespan that God intended for you to live out. More than likely, your body won't operate level that it could possibly operate at, and you will not be able to fulfill whatever purposes you have in your life. So you really want to intentionally set out to not always focus on what the cultural norms are, but to do what it is that you need to do to be able to stay focused on the intentional things that you must fulfill within your life. You also want to really set out to try to figure out how you can be that anomaly, that person that does life different. How can I set out on my path and really tap into the unique qualities of who I am as a human being to be able to make a contribution to the world and to consistently create the change in my life first and in the world that other people really need in order to make their lives better as well. Let me tell you firsthand, I understand what it really means to kind of be set apart, not always being in sync with the lifestyles that other people consistently decide to live on a day-to-day basis. It can be super hard to stand out, but I am letting you know that if you have a purpose to live an intentional life, that you standing out will really inspire people to want to show the world the parts of them that are absolutely different as well. So don't ever be fearful about really embracing the different parts of who you are and really putting into practice how you can intentionally show up so that other people can really see that you're amazingly unique. And so these are the ways that I believe that you can have a chance to be able to intentionally live in the more. This is how you intentionally live your life even more so that you can make the impact and the change that is absolutely necessary in our world today. So in the comments down below, I would love to know which one of the tips that I gave in terms of how you can live a more intentional life really connected to you. I want to know which one you're going to begin to walk out in your life, or maybe if you've already been implementing some of these amazing mindset shifts and habits in your day-to-day living. I would love to hear from you. Now, there's one more thing that I absolutely have to let you know, and that is that I absolutely believe in you. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you again here soon. Ciao.